Welcome in to another episode of Betting the Pitch. I am your host, the real underscore G Warner on Twitter, and I'm coming to you live from Rick. Correct headphones on. Unfortunately, it doesn't know. I don't know if that's coming through. Hopefully, everything looks good now. Um, and we're gonna go through match day 5 best bets. Currently, I think we're 3-2 on the season on the ultimate best bet. Still waiting for sponsorship. Get at me or someone to come up with a cooler idea to name that. But coming to you live from Chicago here for Arc Music Festival. If anyone's around, hit me up. I will be having a very good old time this weekend. I've already gotten into the Italian beef. Already the beers started flowing, so it's going to be a big weekend, but not going to leave anybody hanging because we're going to try to get some soccer winners out the door before we go into full-on party mode. We'll start as we always do in the Premier League, but I'll cover the top 5 European soccer leagues: England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and France. And we'll give best bets from each of the countries in case you're into a certain type of soccer, and an ultimate best bet end of show. It is Friday morning here in the U.S., and without further ado, we'll get into the Premier League. And Everton hosts Liverpool in a really big matchup. Already talked about it on other podcasts through pregame.com's podcast network with my co-host Mackenzie Rivers. Everton are a 1.25 home underdog. It's big number for a big rivalry. Should be a pretty intense game out there, to say the least. Virgil van Dijk got his ACL ripped in this game a few seasons ago. And we'll see what happens with this one. Hopefully he can stay healthy in this one. But Everton have a big goal scoring problem. And Liverpool, I'm not sure I'm a believer in their 9-0 victory over Bournemouth really changing things. They're still off to a really slow start. And the loan signing of Artur from Juventus is not a really good sign that their midfield is really at all capable at this point. But from where I sit, Everton at 1.25 goals, the only way I could lean. It might climb to 1.5 before this match kicks off very early tomorrow morning. But I don't think it'll make my card. And I don't really think I'm that interested because I don't think Everton can score and Liverpool clearly can't. Next, we'll move to Brentford hosting Leeds. Brentford, a 1/4 goal favorite at home. Pretty nice sort of number here. And I guess we got to keep in mind that some of these smaller clubs playing 2 matches in a week, that's a big deal. I'm looking at you, Everton, right now based on their financial situation. But definitely plays into Brentford and Leeds, who have spent a lot more than Everton. But I'll leave Everton in the past now. I'm interested in Leeds. I like what they've done so far this season. I like the character that Jesse Marsch is on the sidelines. I don't know if that's going to work for him long term in England, but I really like what they brought in, the amount of money they spent. Tyler Adams is a great defensive midfielder who will take yellow cards, who will drop F-bombs at everyone to make sure that they know what the story is and who he is and where he's from, which I respect, especially as a U.S. Citizen. And I think he's probably my favorite player on the U.S. men's national team. But Brentford giving a 1/4 goal with an offense that's a little bit questionable. I mean, it's certainly a little bit smaller of a line than I think I was expecting, especially more of the juices on Brentford. So maybe it climbs to a half, but I feel like it probably settles right about here. And that speaks to Brentford's lack of offense and are clearly not playing their preferred defensive lineup as well. I lean to Leeds getting a 1/4, but that's a pretty short number at this point. Next, we'll move to Wolves hosting Southampton. Wolves a 1/4 goal favorite at home, similar type of thing. They almost scored a goal, I guess, against Bournemouth, but great defensive showing was my ultimate best bet winner from last week's episode. That was big. Very happy about that one. But Wolves couldn't score a goalless match at Bournemouth after Bournemouth conceded 9. You expected them to come out defensively or with a defensive mindset, especially under a caretaker manager. But Wolves have big goal scoring problems. I don't think that's changed by bringing in Gonzalo Cuetas, who's got plenty of talent, but certainly is an outside the box really threat on a good team. And clearly Wolves are not a good offensive team at this point and haven't been for 2 seasons now, or a season at least. Don't believe Bruno Lage can change that. I'm wondering if when he's going to get sacked. Certainly won't win the first manager sacked bet because Scotty Parker took that one after he went nuts on the club administration for not giving him any players or any money to sign players. Southampton, had a big win against Chelsea. It's going to be tough for them to follow that up on the road. They're going to play pretty aggressively and give Wolves some spaces. I just don't know why anyone would believe that Wolves can take advantage of that and score. So Southampton getting a quarter of a goal is of interest to me for sure. Next, we'll move Tottenham hosting Fulham. Currently, Tottenham a 1-goal favorite with all the juice. I get more interested in Fulham as this climbs to 1.25 and higher. Fulham are going to play aggressively though, and they've kind of had a lot of success so far this season throwing caution to the wind. I don't know that's a great strategy against Tottenham, though they're potentially going to sit back and try to counter like Conte did at Inter. He did it on the road at Nottingham Forest. It worked well enough for them. Took them a lot of chances to end up covering that spread, and I'm still pretty disappointed about that, as I think it was my previous ultimate best bet. But I like Fulham right now getting 1. I like that full goal of insurance. I still feel like teams that have more possession and are an underdog are of value in this sport, especially when it climbs above a goal, which I think it will towards 1.25 by the time this match kicks off on Saturday morning. So I lean to Fulham, but we'll see where this number goes. And certainly the big money comes in on the big clubs all the way up to kickoff. So no need to jump on them just yet. Can't see this closing 3/4 of a goal. Nottingham Forest and hosting Bournemouth in a big matchup of teams at the bottom. Currently, Nottingham Forest a 0.5 goal favorite at home. Bournemouth with a good defensive effort. They're going to have to defend again. I think finally Nottingham Forest and CV Cooper can use an attacking lineup here. They've gone defensive and they tried to play with more of like a midfielder type of attack to try to, I think, help defensively and really spring counters. Who am I to say that he wasn't doing the right thing? But I feel like that didn't work out, and might be a strategy he goes a different route with in the future. Bournemouth, on the other hand, they got off to a really awful start, but they played some really tough matches against really good teams. Had murderer's row basically 3 matches in a row and saw an embarrassing 9-0 loss. And I think it's kind of brought that team together, and they realized they need to play really good defensive football, which is what they did in the championship as well. So I like them getting a 0.5 goal. I don't believe that Nottingham Forest offense, we haven't seen anything from Jesse Lingard just yet, which I think shows how hard it is for teams and for even really talented players to create on their own when they don't have a lot around them. Nottingham Forest have done a ton of business, brought in a ton of players, but they clearly have not gelled yet. So giving 0.5 goal seems like a lot to me. I like Bournemouth. Moving next to Chelsea hosting West Ham. Chelsea a 1-goal favorite. Juice is split on this one, so not really a good tell on where this one's going to go. I imagine they'll probably stay right here. West Ham, they're a defensive side that won our counterattack that works very well against Chelsea, who really want spaces to use their speed. I don't believe in Chelsea's offense. They've had some pretty bad losses already. Embarrassing performance against Leeds, and then the loss to Southampton is pretty head-scratching as well. I was about to say eye-scratching. I don't think that's a term. West Ham certainly haven't looked great, but love Lucas Paqueta coming in. He's a really important central midfielder, and he's not going to help you defensively, I don't think, but he's a great attacker, and that's something that West Ham needed. So I'm liking that +1 on West Ham right now. Newcastle then hosting Crystal Palace. Currently Newcastle a 0.5 goal favorite. With what offense to speak of? You have to see what they have available. They've got a lot of injuries already, and once they start losing people, unfortunately, they're still a pretty thin squad. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have not invested as much as you would have expected when they took the team over. They've bought well, and credit them for that, but I still don't believe them as a 0.5 goal favorite is going to stand up too often. Crystal Palace isn't, far different team on the road than they are at home. Can't really put my finger on exactly why, besides a huge crowd behind them. And I guess that gives them a ton more energy. It looks like Wilfried Zaha has stayed, unless I missed a transfer rumor or something like that when I was flying here last night, but I did get in at the wee hours, so who knows what the heck happened. But Palace are a 0.5 goal underdog. They have all the juice right now. Maybe that's fallen to a quarter, but I lean to them because I think they're going to play good defense. They showed they can score goals, whether they were completely deserved or not at Man City. I think I was impressed by going up 2-0 on the champions and look like the champions of this season as well. Best team in the world, you could even say. But Newcastle are a different breed, and I think Crystal Palace have a little bit more ability to play offense in this one than they did against City. That's a big, important part of getting out so they don't have to defend for 90 minutes. It's really hard for any team to do that. Last but not least, on Saturday, we have Aston Villa hosting Man City. Currently, Villa at 1.5 goal underdog. And they're not a team I really want to back right now. They're a good defensive side. At least they want to set up that way and try to counterattack, which is what they're going to be able to do against Man City. But they clearly didn't want the defensive pairing that they're using. Diego Carlos ripped his Achilles, and that kind of took him out probably for the whole season, which is disappointing. And Achilles are a big deal on any career, especially you see in the NFL here in the US. But I'm not really looking to fade Manchester City. I've had a pretty good record against them over the last few seasons, but this is not a place for that. Moving to Sunday, Brighton hosting Leicester. Currently Brighton a 0.5 goal favorite. All the juice on Brighton, but they're gonna win some matches, I guess. Leicester are just a disaster. Financially, they're having a lot of trouble, and it's hard for me to want to back them. I do think Brighton as a favorite is someone to go against because I don't think that they can keep this incredible record up. And the loss at Fulham, I think that speaks to it a little bit, that they got a little bit out of hand in terms of the market pricing them. But Leicester aren't really a team that I want, especially not at a half of a goal with no insurance if they lose. When this moves to 3/4, that makes me more interested in Leicester, but I still think they have huge problems, and I think I might be happy to sit on the sidelines, though I think goalless is possible in any Brighton match, to be frank. Last but not least, Manchester United hosting Arsenal. Currently a pick 'em right now with a slightly more juice on Manchester United. I like Arsenal a lot. I mean, they're off to a great start. How can you not? They've won every match. Not sure all their victories have been deserved, but credit them so far. And I'm a fader of Erik ten Hag and Manchester United, but at Pick'em, there's not much for me to do. And what should be a pretty big crowd event, crowd will be behind Manchester United, especially after the good performance against Liverpool, followed up with winning in Southampton. So things are better than they were when they were rock bottom at the start of the season. But I'm still forever in a let's go against United camp. Until further ado. We'll go through best bets for each country at the end of the show. So next we'll move to Spanish La Liga. We have Celta de Vigo hosting Cadiz. Currently Celta a -3/4 goal favorite, and they should be because they can score goals that Cadiz can't. I'm actually not really interested in Cadiz, even if this gets to 1. It doesn't look like that based on the juice, but Celta can score. Iago Aspas is one of the best goal getters in the world, I think. I kind of wish he was on a better club, but and playing in Europe, but Cadiz just aren't good enough. And until they prove to me that they're a better team, I just have no interest in backing them. I've read that yellow roller coaster too many times to my death. Moving to Saturday, Mallorca hosting Girona. That Cadiz match was on Friday. A few matches on Friday this week. There's a lot of midweek action, but c'est la vie. Mallorca hosts Girona on Saturday. They're a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice as well. Girona have impressed me so far. I feel like Mallorca has done the same. I think they deserved a better result against Real Betis, but didn't happen. And shame on them for that. But when you give up 2 penalties at home, it's hard when you don't have much of an offense. They do have a really lethal, big-headed, 4-headed center man, go-to guy in Marici up front, and he's a big problem. I don't know how Girona are going to handle that, but crosses into the box for a header are not really the highest XG opportunities for goals. So as a favorite, that's something to be concerned about, I think, on Mallorca. And based on where this juice is right now, it might be climbing to a half a goal before the match kicks off on Saturday morning here in the US. And I feel like Girona at 1/2 might be a lot more interesting to me than they are at the current quarter. Next, we'll move to Real Madrid hosting Betis. Currently, Real Madrid a 1 1/4 goal favorite. And they win matches. I mean, same story as always, really. They don't look that great. They look pretty unimpressive. And they get a late goal from Karim Benzema, and they win, like is exactly what happened against Espanyol in their last match. Real Betis are off to a great start. This is a big test for them to see how their defense can cope with a really good offensive club like Real Madrid. I think above a goal is of great interest to me to back Los Beticos. And, the Verde Blancos are something that they're a different team to play against. Nabil Fekir, while he's a big red card risk all the time, he's such a great player, and the Panda up front has been really hot. So very interested in Betis getting more than a goal. I'm trying not to fade the big guns like Real Madrid and Barcelona in this league, but I haven't stopped fading Atletico Madrid and Sevilla. So why maybe I can extend that veil a little bit further. Moving next to Real Sociedad hosting Atletico Madrid. Speaking of Sociedad, a pick'em with all the juice on Atletico right now. So maybe they move to a 1/4 goal favorite. I am just about as unimpressed as you can be with Atleti. I thought Real Sociedad played really well against Barcelona, but couldn't hold their water, or weren't fit enough, or just didn't have enough in their tanks to last more than 70 minutes or so with Barca. It's a different game here against Atleti. It's going to be a lot more physical. They're going to foul a ton. Diego Simeone is going to yell at the refs, but I just don't believe that Atleti are a good offensive team under him, and will ever be. I think they really want to play defense and counterattack, but they're kind of caught between a lot of different positions. And that makes me want to back the home team. I went to our Real Arena. It's probably an insurance company, so I shouldn't say I give any advertising, but it's Spain, so who knows. And the Churiardin are an awesome fan base. It should be a pretty nuts crowd, and I'm looking forward to Sociedad climbing to a 1/4 goal. They did sell Alexander Isak, but he was a great speed, counter-attacking type of talent that I don't know that fit really well in a possession type of style that Sociedad want to play under Imanol Alguacil. And I think from where I sit, Sociedad are certainly someone I want to see move to a quarter of goal, and then I'll probably back them on Saturday. Last one on Saturday, Sevilla hosting Barcelona. Formerly a big match that would have been a big threat for Barcelona, but unfortunately, this Sevilla club right now are in shambles. They are clearly dealing with a lot financially. I wouldn't be shocked if their manager leaves either by his own accord or is sacked. I mean, I'm surprised that Lopetegui even stayed for this season, but it's not gone well so far, and I don't really see things changing. Sevilla are currently a 3/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice to Barca. I think I would need at least one to get involved. I don't love Barcelona. Their defense is problematic, but I don't think Sevilla have the people to really target them and cause them problems. Next, we move to Sunday. Osasuna hosting Rayo Vallecano. Osasuna, half a goal favorite right now. All the juice on Rayo on the road. Rayo know how to counterattack, and Osasuna's offense, while it's improved this year with some offseason signings, and they got off to a great start with 2 home matches and 2 home wins, I'm just not a believer in Osasuna long term, and I like getting that half of a goal, though it's very juiced right now on Rayo. Next, we'll move Athletic Club de Bilbao hosting Espanyol. Currently, Athletic Club a 1-goal favorite at home. Espanyol with a really great performance against Real Madrid. We'll see if they can put 2 back-to-back, especially on the road is a question. But I just don't really believe in Athletic Club's offense. They're a great counterattacking side. They haven't really gone up against the best of La Liga just yet. And Espanyol, I mean, if they can handle and hang around Real Madrid, it is tough to put 2 good performances back-to-back, I'll admit. But I like them for now, and I'm very interested in Espanyol getting that full goal of insurance. It's a little bit juiced more than the Athletic Club side, but don't want to lose that +1. I'll put it that way. Villarreal then hosting Elche in a great start to their season. Villarreal didn't get a goal in their last match against Getafe. That was very disappointing, but can't really argue with winning at Atleti and doing all the wins before that that they could. Elche just have a really slow center back pairing, and that didn't seem to change in the offseason. They did add some attackers, but I mean, still a long way to go. I think Villarreal 1.5 goal favorite, but unfortunately, I'm sitting in a place with Elche where I'm just not really a believer in wanting to back them and ride that roller coaster to death. So Villarreal, I think I do have a future on them to finish in Champions League position. I feel good about that still. And I don't think Elche are a team that I want to get involved here. Valencia then hosting Getafe, currently Valencia, 1/2 goal favorite. I don't know that I really respect Valencia at all, unfortunately. I think Gattuso coming in, I mean, we'll see what type of impact he can make on Valencia. I feel like they're not the offensive team that they need to be in order to get some of these spreads they're getting. Their Mestalla is no longer the fortress that it once was. Getafe are going to go in and they're going to fuck shit up, excuse my French, but that's what they do. They're going to be really physical. There's a huge red card risk in any match they play, especially higher on the road, and that worries me. Getting 1/2 goal, I lean to Getafe, and I don't know that Valencia can score enough to make it worth it, but something about Getafe and just their style makes me really uncomfortable because 11 versus 10, they're going to have a real tough time covering that half. Moving to Monday, last match of the week, Valladolid hosting Almeria, battle of recently promoted sides. Valladolid a 1/4 goal favorite. Almeria they've looked great so far to me. They played really well. Unfortunately, if they sold their striker Sadiq, Umar Sadiq, then that's a big problem for them offensively because he's a tiger. And might be like really important for them to stay up in the league. The problem is I think they need to move him on in order to register a bunch of other players based on La Liga's salary cap. So I don't know. I want to see what this lineup looks like. Valladolid didn't look great against Barcelona, but that was expected. So I'm not going to hold them or give them too many demerits for that performance. But Almeria are of interest to me, certainly with a lot of juice right now in a quarter. I wouldn't be shocked this fell to pick them. But if I see Sadiq in that lineup and make sure that he's not transferred, then that might make my card. Moving next to Italian Serie A, and we have Saturday matches and some big ones. We have Fiorentina hosting Juventus. Currently, Fiorentina a 1/4 goal underdog at home. And it seems like Juve is getting bet a little bit because their odds are coming in a little bit as we speak. Fiorentina, this is a big difference in class, but Fiorentina, I think, are a team on the rise. I'm not sure they've risen yet. Not to make a biblical reference in Italian soccer, but I guess that's kind of how it goes. Juve, on the other hand, are a good defensive side that I think have problems scoring goals. I mean, if it's not coming from Vlahovic, I don't know where they're getting it. I mean, out of the box or counterattacks, and I'm not sure that a lot of that's going to be available to them. Fiorentina are probably going to play a little more aggressively than they should, but that's what you do at home when you try to get 3 points, and their crowd's going to be huge behind them. Lean to Fiorentina getting a quarter. Not sure that'll make my card just yet, but we'll see what happens also with this juice. If Juve keeps getting bet, as they should as a big club, I'll be interested in Fiorentina. AC Milan then hosting Inter. Currently AC Milan a pick'em. The juice is minus 120 on Inter, but I guess there's no real host in this matchup as it's in San Siro. I think AC Milan have more tickets, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of Inter Milan fans in there. Inter are the better club. They have way more talent, are better all these positions. I do root for AC Milan, it seems, because they're usually underdog in this matchup, but I pick them, not much for me to do. If AC Milan move to a quarter goal underdog, then I think I'll start looking. I don't think Inter will, but if they did, they would certainly be on my card. And last but not least, on Saturday, Lazio hosting Napoli in another monster matchup. I mean, it seems like all the six sisters in Italy are all playing each other. Lazio a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice, and that probably comes from beating Inter in this exact stadium last weekend or last Friday. And I got to say, I was really close to playing Lazio. I'm sad I didn't, and don't want to just follow up on them again against another big team at home. But they can score goals, and that's something that you really need to do to compete in soccer, especially as an underdog. Even though a lot of times with underdogs you want a goalless draw. Napoli have looked great, and I believe in them. A lot of mud was thrown, or even dirt on their grave after they moved on. Dries Mertens and Lorenzo Insigne didn't re-sign, but they've gotten younger. They've done a youth movement, and I feel like that team is as strong, if not stronger, than it was. So they're a scary team to fade, and they were really good on the road last year. But Lazio are a good team right now, and I want to see what their lineup looks like. And I'm always worried about the Lazio defense, but for right now, I lean to the home dog. Moving to Sunday, Cremonese hosting Sassuolo. Cremonese a quarter goal underdog at home with almost all the juice. Sassuolo just not really a team that, I mean, they're a team in transition. They've sold a bunch of players, and unfortunately, they're in a position right now where they're not the strong team that we thought they might be coming in. Cremonese on the other side, I think, are a little bit harder to trust. Next, we move Spezia hosting Bologna. Currently, Spezia a quarter goal underdog with all the juice. Also, Bologna, I mean, they've been getting a lot of respect from numbers. They played, I thought, better against AC Milan than the result ended up happening. And Arnautovic is the scariest guy to play in Serie A, I think. Spezia, I mean, under a new manager, they're playing a little bit differently. I do like Luca Gotti a lot as a defensive manager with a defensive mindset, but and at home, I mean, it's a big change because they were all out attacking the last couple seasons and it kept them in the league. But I like them getting a quarter at home. Next, we move Verona hosting Sampdoria. Currently, Verona half a goal favorite. Sampdoria with all the juice, but I mean, I don't know who's betting them after that performance against Salernitana 2 matches ago. It was pretty gross, and I think they're going to be a team I want to stay away from because they were already trending downward. I like kind of some of their additions, and they also played defense really well against Juve, holding them to goalless, kept a clean sheet. But that's certainly not happened since then. Next, we'll go Udinese hosting Roma. Currently, Udinese a half a goal underdog at home. They're playing differently, and they're a lot more aggressive now, which is a question. But Roma, on the other hand, they're a really strong team that added a lot and have the special one at manager. So they're a tough team to fade right now. I just don't know that I believe in Udinese's defensive mettle right now. Their team didn't change a ton. They brought in, I mean, even got Samir back from Watford, but Udinese is certainly not the same defense, and that affects me. So I lean their way, getting a half. Moving to Monday, Monza hosting Atalanta. Currently, Monza 1-goal underdog. And they're going to be a tough spot. Atalanta seem like they're under the radar this year. They still have Gasperini, and they still have a lot of attacking players, maybe not the same level of talent, but they're ultimately going to a relegation or recently promoted side that's going to be fighting relegation all year. Monza spent a lot on their team relatively compared to a lot of Europe that hasn't been able to spend. But I don't know that I want to fade Atalanta with a new team that has a lot of new players. Salernitana then hosting Empoli. Currently, Salernitana a quarter goal favorite, and I learned the hard way from a Sampdoria bet, but I'm just not a huge believer in Salernitana at this point. Empoli, I mean, played a really tight game at Lecce, but we're kind of holding on towards the end, which is not a great feeling. I do like Empoli. I thought they were a great goal scoring outfit last season. I haven't seen that yet from them, but we'll see where this line moves. And currently at the quarter, I do like Empoli. Last but not least, in Italy, we have Torino hosting Lecce. Torino currently a 3-quarter goal favorite. And I got to say, the Juric offense and style. It's not really. I guess it works for possession, but it doesn't really work for that many goals. And Lecce have looked really great despite being a newly promoted side. They've been really strong, really talented. Deserve better than a late loss against Inter, and really look like they could have won that Empoli match late. So I'm definitely, my eyes are hoping that this will. My eyes are peeled for this one. I hope that this will move to a full goal of insurance by the time it kicks off. But even at 3/4 of a goal, I'm still pretty interested. Next, we'll move to the German Bundesliga, and we got one match today on Friday, and Hoffenheim just hit 3/4 of a goal. Unfortunately, I'm very disappointed about that, and I'm really actually kind of angry at myself that I missed that as we speak. Let's see if it's the same. Damn, yeah, I guess some money just came in on Hoffenheim. They certainly at +1. I was going to play them, and I made them my best bet in I think the podcast with pregame. But yeah, that's a kick in the nether region at this point. We'll see what happens with this number. It certainly may come back as Bundesliga and Borussia Dortmund get bet a lot. But they're a great offense that lost Erling Haaland and are a worse offense now. Defense still seems to have a lot of problems and fractures. And Hoffenheim, they've sneakily added a lot of great players. They sold David Raum, who's going to start for Germany likely in the World Cup, but they replaced him with Angelino, and I don't see that as a huge drop off this year. Maybe in the future it will be. But currently getting 3/4 of a goal. I'm still very interested in Hoffenheim. Moving to Saturday, Bayer Leverkusen hosting Freiburg. Currently Leverkusen a half a goal favorite. And I don't know really, that one good win this past weekend at Mainz really changes their situation. They had lost all their competitive matches previously, and I just don't really believe that they're a good team unless they're scoring a ton of goals. Freiburg have a lot of talent. They're certainly looking forward to Europa League next week, but I think they're still going to focus on the league more than anything. They're off to a pretty good start, and ultimately had a week off as they started. They played on Friday last weekend, so they got more time to rest here. It is going to be a road trip to Leverkusen, but a lot of questions have been asked about the Leverkusen crowd. So Freiburg getting a half of a goal is of huge interest to me on Saturday morning. Stuttgart then hosting Schalke. Currently Stuttgart a 3/4 goal favorite, having just sold Sasa Kalajic at the striker position. And without him, they were unable to score goals last season. They almost got relegated because of it. I don't think that's changed, and now losing him for good. I've got big questions about Stuttgart. I thought he and Diego Tomas were going to be a good combination up front. But once he's gone, or now that he's gone, they don't really have a head to kick the ball to in the center of the box, and I feel like it affects their offense quite a bit. Schalke have been a roller coaster, and not one that leads towards death so far this season. They've had some late penalties. They've had some late concessions. They've scored late. A lot of late show stuff going on with them. But getting 3/4 of a goal is of interest to me. They have all the juice right now, or almost all of it. Bet online, and I think I'm interested in Schalke, hoping that they hit one. Probably won't, but still like them getting more than a half a goal for sure. Wolfsburg then hosting Cologne. Currently, Wolfsburg a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice. Cologne, on the other hand, they got Europe coming up, but they did sell Anthony Modeste to Borussia Dortmund, and I think he's going to be a big absence for them because that was their target guy. That was who they'd kick the ball to. That was who their offense was built around, crossing into the box, looking for that big head of Anthony Modeste. But unfortunately, and I say that in a complimentary way, not making fun of his big head. But anyway, Wolfsburg, I just don't trust them to score. They're a pretty big favorite and moving bigger into a bigger type of favorite based on the juice right now. I think Cologne, if they hit a half of a goal, very interested in that. Bochum then hosting Werder Bremen, two teams that are going to be fighting relegation. Bochum a 1/4 goal underdog at home with all the juice right now, but still they're off to a really bad start. They didn't invest in their side. They had a new director, player personnel come in and just took over, and that's not great. It kind of speaks to kind of a club in flux despite staying in the league pretty surprisingly last season. They're great at home. Werder Bremen have had some incredible comebacks, including 3 goals in the last 5 minutes of a match at Borussia Dortmund to win. A ridiculously allowed goal against Stuttgart earlier that should have been a loss for them on a high boot, but unfortunately, soccer officials make me want to die. And I think where I sit right now, I don't believe in Werder Bremen. I think I want to trust that Bochum home crowd, which I do plan to be in a few weeks, actually, coming up real soon. Anybody in Germany wants to hang out and speaks English, because I don't have too much German, come on down. We'll get some pints or something like that, or whatever you call them, Steins, whatever. I like Bochum getting a quarter at home. Union Berlin then hosting Bayern Munchen. This is a tough one for Union, and as a perma bull of Union Berlin, it's tough for me not to want to bet them here. When I see them getting more than a goal, that just gets my juices flowing, if you will. The Eisenhot, or whatever you call them, the Iron Club, they've got a big job ahead of them trying to keep Bayern Munchen out of their net. And getting a goal and a half, it's a pretty short number, believe it or not, considering how strong and deep Bayern Munchen are. But I like Union getting a goal and a half. That's the only way I'd play this one if anyone ever listens to me. But I think they got a shot. They have to probably score against Bayern. That's the biggest question for me. Last but not least, this Saturday match, or the big one on Saturday, is Eintracht Frankfort hosting RB Leipzig at Champions League square off, as both head to that major competition next week. Eintracht currently Frankfurt a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. I think there's plenty of questions that could be asked about Domenico Tedesco's side so far. They haven't been a flowing offense like you would have hoped and we would have expected based on how they played the end of last season. But Frankfurt are off to a worse start, and were really bad in the Bundesliga last season. Somehow won the Europa League final. Miraculously, but the win at Barcelona is incredible. Probably one of the bigger shocks for a lot of people. But from where I sit, lean to the home dog, but I got to kind of feel better about Frankfurt to back them here, and I don't feel that way just yet. Moving to Sunday, Augsburg hosting Hertha Berlin. Currently, Augsburg a pick'em with all the juice right now. Augsburg just really can't be a favorite to many teams at this point. Hertha have been playing better and still not getting the results, which is a big problem for them, but makes me feel like they're undervalued, and I want to back them if they move to a quarter goal underdog. They're not there yet. Last match on Sunday is Borussia Mönchengladbach hosting Mainz. Gladbach a quarter goal favorite at home. Not sure they're a better team than Mainz. Mainz have really bad road struggles for a whole of last season essentially, and got a really lucky win at Augsburg. Took advantage of a sleeping Augsburg defense and at the death of the match. Credit them for that. They're going to go and be really physical. Gladbach struggle with that sometimes. I mean, Marcus Thuram has spat in the face within the last 3 seasons at least. So if you can get Borussia Mönchengladbach riled up, and they seem kind of like a soft team a little bit to me, I think Mainz will take advantage of that. So getting a quarter, I'm interested in Mainz as well. We'll move to Ligue 1 in France for the last portion of this podcast. Then we'll go through, give out best bets for each of the countries, and the ultimate best bet, which I think is 3-2 this season, but feel free to check my math on that one. Angers hosting Marseille, first match on Saturday as Marseille gear up for Champions League. Angers, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. And they played really well midweek, in their last home game. As a newly promoted side, you need to get points from home matches. They're probably going to set up very defensively for this one. Problem is Marseille have a ton of attacking talent, and they have more to bring off the bench. So I don't know until I get +1 if I'm interested in Angers. Lyon then hosting Angers, which is surprising that Lyon plays a Saturday match because they don't have any Champions League or European competitions at all this season, which is a reason why a lot of people like them. Lyon, a goal and a half favorite with all the juice right now. They're scoring a ton, brought in, kind of strengthened the team a lot. They always sell a lot of players for big money, but bringing Lacazette back was a big move for them, I think, emotionally and chemistry-wise, and as a team as well, which you could certainly point to as an issue previously. Angers, haven't had a lot of luck backing them recently. Market really didn't like them midweek against Reims and paid off. I think getting a goal and a half is a big number, but it's not enough for me to want to play because I think Lyon could score a lot, and that's a big question for me, especially because Tete seems to score every match. Nantes then hosting PSG, only getting 1 3/4 goals at home. I really like the defensive setup for Nantes. They had a great comeback draw on the road at Strasbourg on Wednesday, but it's a big question about their legs as they get ready for Europa League. PSG are so deep, so talented, so built for this type of thing. Going on the road is going to be tough, and Alban Lafont is awesome. But he's going to have to stand on his head to keep them in this. And until I get 2 goals, I think I'm going to stay on the sidelines of Nantes. Moving to Sunday, Montpellier hosting Lille. For Montpellier, a quarter goal underdog at home. And what a weird run they've been on. Such an awful end to last season. Worst team in Liga, I think, by far. And then we're a pretty big underdog because they had a bunch of red card suspensions to deal with 2 matches ago and won 7-0 at Reims, I believe. So, good luck figuring them out, or at Brest, I think it was. I always get Brest and Reims confused because they're like the same red and white from northern France, but whatever. Lille looked decent, but they're going on the road as a favorite. It's not a position that I'm really that comfortable with them. So Montpellier are nothing for me at home, and I think for right now it's nothing. Brest hosting Strasbourg. move down from a quarter of a underdog to pick them. Brest right now with even odds right now at pick them, but I'm not sure they're on the list for me just yet. But we'll see what happens with that number, because Strasbourg haven't been able to win yet, and that's certainly something I'm looking to be against. Ajaccio then hosting Lorient. Currently Ajaccio a quarter goal favorite at home. All the juice on Lorient on the road. Lorient are going to play a counter-attacking style. They're going to sit in and make it hard for Ajaccio to score, and it's already really hard for Ajaccio to score. So I like Lorient a lot there. Clermont Foot then hosting Toulouse. And Clermont Foot a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice right now. They haven't been playing well. The market hasn't really liked them. I feel like they're more aggressive than they probably should be, but it's worked out fairly well for them so far. Toulouse are off to a great start. I mean, just played PSG midweek, so that's gonna be tough on their legs. But lean to the home underdog there. Reims hosting Lens. Currently, Reims a quarter goal underdog at home. And they've been up and down so far to start the year. Got a good win on Angers midweek. Lens are a really scary team to fade though right now. They're so good and they get so many goals from outside the box. They're always pressuring you. Fofana is just so awesome. I love backing him, and I really hate to be against him, I gotta say. So might be a little bit hard for me to back Rennes, but lean to the home dog here. Troyes then hosting Rennes. Troyes off to a really bad start, looking like a relegation team. Rennes finally got a win, though it took them 89 minutes to take a lead, or to get the ultimate goal to take the lead, game winner, and then got a late goal when Brest were pushing forward. A nice little javelin to my heart, unfortunately, but good for my Rennes to finish top 5 bet. So hopefully that will continue. This should be a win for them, but they're on the road and their offense does not look good so far, so that's a concern. And last but not least, in France, before we wrap it all up, is Nice hosting Monaco. Currently, Nice a pick'em. All the juice on Monaco on the road, though. And I'm looking for Nice to climb to a quarter. I don't know if they'll get there, but I still see this Monaco side as a team I want to be against. And I don't know what to really say about where they are right now. They brought in a lot of players. They've sold some recently. But from where I sit, Nice are nothing if they get to a quarter. But until then, they're not there. So now to wrap up. So in terms of best bet from France, I will, of the possibility, I think Nice, they need to move to a quarter, so not there yet. Reims quarter goal home underdog of interest, but fading Lens is scary. Clermont Foot I like at home getting a quarter. Lorient getting a quarter on the road at Ajaccio, who can't score, is looking like the favorite to me right now. Montpellier is on the possibility list. Nantes seems a little short until he gets to 2. Auxerre a little short until he gets to 1. So I'll go my best bet in France will be FC Lorient getting a quarter at Ajaccio. Do this a little bit rapid fire because I know people's attention spans are limited. Going to Germany, and we'll start back to front, just like we did France. Mainz getting a quarter from Gladbach is interesting. Airtel, if they move to a quarter, that'd be nice, but they're not there yet. Frankfort at home to Leipzig of interest. Union Berlin getting 1.5 from Bayern. I mean, as per usual, I'm really into the dogs in the Bundesliga because I don't think there's a huge separation between the clubs. Bochum, a quarter goal underdog at home. Will have an army of blue behind them, which I respect a lot. Cologne getting a quarter right now at Wolfsburg. If they move to a half, I like that a lot more. Schalke getting 3/4 on the road at Stuttgart. I mean, after playing no German matches last weekend, I feel like I'm going to bet this whole card, which is dangerous. Freiburg getting a half at Leverkusen, I think is hard to look away from. And then Hoffenheim getting 3/4 from Borussia Dortmund. I'm very sad that dropped from 1. But it makes sense. I mean, big money's coming in, pushing that off that full goal of insurance, and I think that's the right place to be. For Germany, I'll go best bet for Bochum plus 1/4 at home. I'll take that as my best bet in Germany. Now to Italy for Serie A. Just bear with me. I got just a couple more minutes left of this. Let's say give me like a minute, please. Lecce, a 3/4 goal underdog on the road. I like that one. Empoli getting a quarter from Salernitana is of interest. Not going to do Monza. Probably not going to do Udinese getting a half at home. Sampdoria's team that I just want to go away and run away from me forever. Spezia getting a quarter at home is of interest from Bologna. Cremonese probably won't make the card, I got to say. Still need to see a little bit more from them. I do like Lazio hosting Napoli getting a quarter right now. Not much to do in the Milan derby because pick them both ways. And Fiorentina getting a quarter at home from Juve are very interesting to me as well. I think Lazio is high on the list, especially after seeing what they did against Inter. I don't want to fall in love with that result. But I think from where I sit, my play might be. I mean, I would love for Lecce to get a full goal of insurance. That'd be a huge number for me possibility. But I'll take Lazio getting a quarter from Napoli at home as my best bet from Italy. 2 leagues left to go, and then we'll wrap up and get out of here. In Spain, Almeria getting a quarter on Monday looks very interesting to me, especially. I mean, I do want to see that lineup first. Getafe, not my favorite. Elche, I want to avoid. Espanyol getting a full goal of insurance from Athletic Club, especially after a great performance against Real Madrid, looks great. Rayo Vallecano getting a half from Osasuna also looks good in two teams that struggle to score. Sevilla pass. Real Sociedad not yet to a quarter. Real Betis higher than a goal is of interest, of course. Girona getting a quarter is I like, but I'd like to get more than that quarter. For my best bet in Spain, I will go with Espanyol +1 at Athletic Club. I think there's a lot of space for them to push on that +1. And who knows? I think it's going to be really hard for Athletic Club to get 2 goals. And last but not least, we'll go through the Premier League and then give the ultimate best bet before we sign off. Arsenal's a pick 'em, so nothing to do there yet. Leicester, I want to avoid until they figure out how to pay their bills. Aston Villa getting a goal and a half from Manchester City is just not a place I want to be at the moment. Crystal Palace, I do like getting a half of a goal at Newcastle. West Ham +1 at Chelsea, two teams that can't score. So when you get a full goal of insurance, it's pretty nice. Bournemouth, a half a goal underdog at Nottingham Forest, battle of relegation potentials, newly promoted sides. Still very interested in Bournemouth and like their performance this past weekend. Fulham +1 at Tottenham is going to be tough, but it looks like it might climb to 1.25. So I like that even more. Southampton getting a quarter from Wolves from a team that can't score. I like that. Leeds getting a quarter from Brentford are of interest. And then I will not be touching Everton Liverpool because that could be a murder show. So for my best bet in England, I'm going to go Southampton getting a quarter from Wolves. I just don't believe Wolves can score, and they're going to have to prove it to me. And I don't really think that they can do that. So overall best bet or ultimate best bet, 3-2 so far this season. Hopefully, if there's one play for all of you to make, this is the one. I'm going to go with Southampton getting a quarter from Wolves on the road. Pretty good confidence building win at home against Chelsea this week. I think that'll carry them and give them a lot more energy than you'd think as they go from the South Coast to the Midlands to play Wolves. I just don't believe Wolves can score. So until they can, they're probably going to be featured as a fade for me in the best bet portion of the show. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, StreamYard, wherever you're finding me. Thank you for the support. If you could like, subscribe, give 5 stars, do whatever it takes. Would love and appreciate all the support. Ultimate best bet, Southampton getting +1/4 from Wolves. You can follow me on Twitter, @the_Real_G Warner. Feel free to slide some DMs. Or if you're in Chicago going to Arc Music Festival this weekend, hit me up and we can shake it together. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk soon.